Hello, it's stage 5 of the tour and we're in the charming city of Châteauroux, which lies just outside the little circle of towns who compete for the title of the absolute centre of France. Actually, as you can see, and as is so often the case on the tour, we're actually outside Châteauroux in a sort of semi-industrial zone where there's enough room for the convoy of trucks and cranes and foul-smelling portaloos that make up the tour's 3-week bank holiday traffic jam. Now, yesterday's time trial was a little bit short and a little bit early in the race to produce any definitive answers about the form of the contenders for overall victory. Nonetheless, it did provide us with some interesting information.
And welcome information as far as Cadel Evans was concerned. The Pre-Tour favourite didn't win the stage, but he did beat all his main rivals for overall victory. Most notably Spain's Alejandro Valverde, who lost 1:07 to the Australian. With another long time trial to come on the eve of Paris, it'll be down to Valverde to attack in the mountains. Denis Menchov went into the time trial already in arrears to the other main contenders because of a crash on stage 3. He rode well though and finished just 7 seconds down on Evans, a minute up on Valverde. The day was inconclusive as far as CSC's private race for the team leadership was concerned. Andy Schleck beat both his brother Frank and Carlos Sastre, but not by enough. The Pyrenees will decide that issue. Fabian Cancellara was widely expected to win yesterday, but wasn't on form and faded to 5th in the end, while Britain's David Miller put in his best performance in a Tour time trial since his return 2 years ago. He lost out on second place by only fractions of a second to Kim Kirchen, the Columbia team leader riding himself into contention for the overall. But faster than everyone yesterday by a good 18 seconds was Stefan Schumacher, who stepped off the podium and into, if not a barrage, then at least a couple of pointed questions about his scrapes with cycling's disciplinary process, the latest of them involving amphetamines, not on a race, but after a night out.
It was only a little bit of substance of those stuff, but it was a police control. I come out of a disco and I didn't consume this kind of drugs.
Well, whether he did or he didn't, Stefan Schumacher is the new leader of the Tour de France. He has a 12-second advantage over Kim Kirchen in second, with David Miller third on the same time, and Cadel Evans another 9 seconds back in fourth. Denis Menchov is 11th, 1 minute 12 down on the leader. Alejandro Valverde now finds himself 17th at 1 minute 27 and thinking ahead to the mountains.
Now, we've had a fair number of emails in from you today, a lot of them, I have to say, objecting to us jumping on Stefan Schumacher the moment he took the yellow jersey and asking him about his problems with amphetamines. Well, as we said last night, such is the microscopic scrutiny of riders' behaviour these days, and such is the atmosphere of suspicion surrounding cycling in general, that it's as well to examine these questions, even if it is only in the end to establish that there's no real substance to them. And talking of microscopic scrutiny, we're going to take a look at the French papers now, because if you imagine England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland in the semi-finals of the World Cup, a home win at Wimbledon and a wag's wedding maybe, you begin to get some idea of the amount of press coverage the Tour attracts in France. Stefan Schumacher, as you'd expect, is on most of the front pages, including that of L'Equipe, the sports daily. Like a Formula One lap is their headline, which of course is a double play on words, a tour being a lap, a circuit, and Schumacher, the name, being better known in motorsport than it is in cycling. Interestingly, it also allows L'Equipe to fly under the radar of the libel laws a little bit, while also suggesting perhaps that Schumacher was fueled by something more than the mineral water that his Gerolsteiner sponsors make. Inside, there's more insinuation without a great deal to back it up. En jaune pâle, in pale yellow, as though Schumacher's position as race leader is somehow a couple of shades short of the full egg yolk. Also in L'Equipe, one of the team bosses, Patrick Lefevre of Quick-Step, is objecting to Schumacher's participation. Apparently he raised the issue after his star rider, Tom Boonen, was banned from the Tour after testing positive for cocaine, and he didn't see why Boonen should be out and Schumacher was still allowed to race, even though the police had apparently found amphetamines in his system. Interestingly though, Schumacher's biggest defender is over the page, and it's the man who was the favourite for yesterday's time trial, Fabian Cancellara. Here's what he has to say about Schumacher. For me, he was the favourite. I know him well, and the course was perfectly suited for him. Now, elsewhere, there's a fair amount of Fayou mania, which is a bit like Murray mania, with a French accent and a tidier haircut. According to La Nouvelle République, he won the race for everyone's hearts yesterday, which is as opposed to winning the race itself, of course. He finished 169th out of 178 riders. He nonetheless will be heading home with the yellow jersey, and when he gets there, apparently he's going to pick up a hectare of land. The mayor of Les Linières, which is his hometown, is also a farmer. He apparently promised Fayou the land if he took the yellow jersey. And Aujourd'hui newspaper helpfully has a picture of some land for less imaginative readers with the peloton going past. Not sure if the cows are actually included in that deal. Now, there's an interesting sidebar in Francois about yesterday's time trial. Apparently in the morning the course was ridden together by Greg LeMond and Laurent Fignon, the two men involved, of course, in the most famous time trial in Tour history, when LeMond beat Fignon by 8 seconds overall on the Champs-Élysées in 1989. Now, apparently they'd fallen out for a spell after the 1989 Tour, and this was the first time since retirement that the two of them had actually been out sharing a stretch of tarmac, as it were. Probably sharing a pair of matching hamstring strains as well this morning. Also out on the road yesterday, riding in advance of the race for the Tour's favourite charity, was Arsenal's William Gallas. Now, he sidestepped all questions about the French performance in the European Championships last month, but he did admit to shaving his legs for the first time in his life in preparation for the ride. So I suspect he hasn't heard the last of that once word gets back to the Arsenal dressing room. Now, one final piece back in La Nouvelle République. They asked a series of local celebrities yesterday for their Tour memories. They've got a golfer, a triathlete, the deputy mayor of La Châtre, and a porn film actress who says that she doesn't really know anything about the Tour, but it's a piece of old France that she finds agreeable. So there you go. Consider yourselves fully briefed on the French press. Let's move on and take a look at today's route profile.
There it is. We're nearly 600 kilometres into the race now, and today adds another 232 from Cholet to Châteauroux. Swansea to Chester, to give you some idea of what a huge ride the stage represents. In fact, it's the longest of the entire Tour. But it's flat, and although there'll no doubt be a breakaway at some stage, it's tailor-made for the sprinters' teams to bring it all back together for a blazingly fast finish here in Châteauroux.
Now, so far on this year's Tour, Britain's young sprinter Mark Cavendish has been having the opposite of a blinder, partly because his team Columbia simply hasn't delivered him up to the front in time to compete for the sprints. Well, if he's looking for inspiration, it's there in the archives. As today, 10 years ago in 1998, stage 5 was from Cholet to Châteauroux. Mario Cipollini had come into that year's Tour as the fastest sprinter in the world, but after 4 stages, he was yet to record a win. Then this happened.
Now it's going to be Cipollini, Zabel, Cipollini's on his wheel. Robin McEwen coming far right. Eric Zabel, Cipollini's going to do it. Mario Cipollini has got the win. The Lion King is back. He has made the perfect result in the end, and he's going to feel pretty happy about that.
Actually, he was back for a spell early this season before retiring again, Mario Cipollini. And he could do worse than come and spectate today. A perfect day for sprinters, and everyone else for that matter, as the race makes its way into the heart of France in the first properly French summer weather of the Tour. Not enjoying the day, sadly, was Mauricio Soler, the reigning king of the mountains, who crashed on stage 1, went down again today in the neutral zone before the race got going. He is now out of the race, so we've got 177 riders left. Alejandro Valverde was on the ground too early on. We didn't see that, but we did see him getting treated, possibly on someone's mobile phone from a team car by the look of the shot. Either way, Valverde was soon back in the pack and happily showing off his wounds. Now, we said there'd be a break, and of course there was, but today, of all days, surely it will struggle to stay away. We'll see. Let's join commentary with Paul Sherwin and first Phil Liggett.
These are the 3 leaders now who set the pace all day. They are still away. The gap is closing down. Nicolas Vaugandy, the champion of France, in the middle. Lilian Jégou, and at the back here we have the man from Cofidis, Florent Braud. Those are the 3 leaders. The latest time gap we've got is now barely 2 minutes, and the pack are chasing them down. 1:37 at the moment, just 36 kilometres to go.
Well, you can see all the movement now, Phil, over on the left and the right-hand side, and the colours of the teams are starting to get together. They're trying to get themselves organised, just waiting for the time that this is going to start. And our computer telling us they'll get caught at 19 kilometres to go. Luis Leon Sanchez just on the far side there, the rider from Case d'Epargne. Closest to us, Alejandro Valverde, and Valverde, to me, looks exceptionally relaxed, despite the fact he didn't have a great ride in the individual time trial. I think he still feels very confident about his ability to race in the mountains of this Tour.
Well, I wouldn't disagree. He's also fallen off today, and that even hasn't put him in a bad mood either. So they're enjoying the day in the sun. I think the sun has a lot to do with it. The sun, of course, changes the old body systems and brings a little bit of a ray of sunshine into the system. Robbie McEwen, look at this, coming to the front. Hello, guys. It's getting time for the sprinters now. Just to let you know, I'm still in this race. I don't want to do Robbie a disservice, but I think that's the first time he's been to the front of the peloton since we left Brest.
Well, not too far away from us here as we look here at Alejandro Valverde and Luis Leon Sanchez over on the right-hand side. Jonathan Vaughters, the team manager of Garmin Chipotle, has said yes, he really believes that Mark Cavendish is a man who can come up with a win here this afternoon. But we need to be very careful and watch out for the Italian sprinter, the Brazilian sprinter, Murillo Fischer on Team Liquigas. He said he's seen him race a number of times and he's one of the fastest guys he's ever seen over the last 150 to 200 meters. But watch out for his own man, Julian Dean, who should be admirably led out by Maggie Backstead. He's good at positioning and he knows how to get Julian Dean into the ideal position to try and create the surprise. And for many years, Julian Dean was the lead-out man for a certain Thor Hushovd. Still looking down here, the race hasn't definitely started in earnest, and we're all waiting for that to begin. 33 kilometers to go and around about a 1.5 minutes advantage. There's the green jersey of Kim Kirken. Apart from Robin McEwen making a slight ride up to the front end of the main field, I haven't seen many other of the sprinters showing their faces at the front. They're obviously waiting for the last 15 to 20 kilometers. There's Simon Gerrans. There's the latest time check, 1 minute and 35 seconds. As you can see that these riders now at 33 kilometers to go are still holding on to 1.5 minutes.
Welcome back. Now, as the race heads here to Cholet, we thought we'd just give you a quick reminder that Monday to Friday, you needn't miss a single pedal stroke of the Tour. If you're a Sky Satellite or Virgin Cable subscriber, you can see live, uninterrupted action Monday to Friday via your red button. And that's in stark contrast, I have to say, to the millions who line the roadside here in France, who, depending whether or not there's a breakaway, actually see about 35 seconds of live action. Ned took a day out to experience the Roadside Tour.
The old Renault van, deck it out in flowers, plonk it in the middle of a roundabout, and it makes a handy spot for unimaginative reporters to record the opening link to a day in the life of a French village.
Welcome to Saint-Étienne-de-Montluc.
It's somewhere and nowhere, this place, a little unpretentious stop-off en route to Nantes. 6,000 souls, a grand town hall, a cafe, and for one day, a bouncy tent.
No. On a hand. Je peux aider, no? Okay. I hope so. It'd be a real shame if the whole thing just straight into the sky and disappeared on their big day, wouldn't it? But he seems fairly confident. I don't know if this one's supposed to be loose in.
Next door to the big marquee, I found Frank Meneret.
I am passionate about bicycles with engine.
Ah, these are all...
It's a roller who...
Passions are curious things. Some people are passionate about caravans.
Wherever you go, it's always party.
You've been waiting here for 7 hours. 7 heures. Just waiting here.
From Spain, from Andorra, from Germany, from Italy, from the Netherlands, from France, from Belgium, of course, because they are the most fanatics, the Belgians.
That's what the Tour de France is. Patience, patience, patience. Voilà.
Back in town, the Café de la Mairie was serving lunch. Madame Thébault let me behind the bar.
17 years ago, you remember?
Yes, yes. And en 92. 92.
No, 91. 1991.
The Tour had been there once before that, but no one could quite remember when. They were a bit preoccupied.
You haven't won anything today, no? No. No. No.
Le 3, le 12.
The 3, the 13, they all lost. Ils sont tout perdus, hein? Nix. If Monsieur Massé looks like he owns the place, it's because he used to.
Je suis le papy des propriétaires maintenant.
Ah, you're the father of the
ex-propriétaire du
You are the
l'établissement.
ex-propriétaire.
Voilà.
Your cafe, yeah. You're the boss.
He handed the business on to his daughter in 1970. It's still in the family. In France, you're born to it.
J'ai 68 ans.
He's 68 years old.
Et ça fait tout le temps que j'ai fait ça. Je suis né dans le cirque.
All your life. You were born in the circus.
Circus.
It's either in your DNA or it's not.
Okay, yeah, let go. That's good, we're going. Hey! Oh!
Meanwhile, in the bouncy tent, lunch was turning liquid. But out on the road, tumbleweed.
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here. Most of these people have been stood there for a couple of hours. Nothing's happening.
Minutes later, the young, the tired, the patient and the rodent, all rewarded with the garish hell that is the caravan. The freebies flew, the gendarmes took their share, and in the end everyone was happy, even the mayor.
Is it possible for the mayor to drink a little bit of wine on the... No. Not a good idea.
Minutes later, Marcel whisked me into the inner sanctum of the mayoral offices.
Ah, the bar.
Champagne for both of us, champagne for Woody and Liam behind the camera, champagne for the hell of it.
Au Tour?
Au Tour de France.
Au Tour de France.
Tour de France.
Tour de France, boys.
Okay.
We nearly missed the race. At 5:15, the Tour passed. The breakaway came first. And then, in just a few bewildering seconds, the peloton chasing hard. Then it was done. A brief moment capping a day when the bikes took second place to pleasure, and people remembered what it means to live somewhere, not just anywhere. I left the place behind me. Unlike the Tour, I'd probably never come back.
Just look at the crowd. There is the banner up front there, 20 kilometres it will say. They are still clear. 20, they went away after 11, they're only 20 from the finish of the longest stage in the race. All of a sudden they said, let's give it a go, and they've got down to business here to try and hold them off. And it's at 1:17, and that peloton is working, Paul, and that gap isn't coming down.
Well, just wait for the main field to get themselves organised in earnest at the front end of the peloton, because these guys now, I would estimate, can ride at an average speed of about 45, 46 kilometres an hour on the run into the finish. And once that main field gets the bit between its teeth, and you can see that happening now because they are stretching out into a fairly long line, and they will be able to average 50 kilometres an hour. That is the difference between the two groups on the road.
41.5 kilometres an hour is the average speed today. That's a quick speed for considering the distance of 232 kilometres. This is Pierrick Fedrigo of Bouygues Telecom. He must have had a problem, and he's trying to get back through the field here. There's his team car, and he'll try and hitch a ride without breaking any rules there. The clock is still running on the archway there, and really they've got to work harder than this now, because look at the clock here. The leaders are a kilometre in front at 19 to go, and the time check, 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Yeah, but I still feel that the sprinters are going to have their day here this afternoon. Those other riders have been at the front end of this bike race for an awful long time, in excess of 5 hours. You've got Crédit Agricole on the front in the green and white doing the pacemaking. You've got the pale blue jerseys there of Team Columbia, and I wouldn't be surprised, and there they are on the left-hand side of the road. They're going to get reinforcements as well from Quick-Step, because I could see a long line of riders from Quick-Step moving forward with Gerrit Stegemanns at the back of that line.
Well, the shadowboxing is certainly over now. The gloves are off as the peloton will look to muster the riders we refer to as the super domestiques on the team. The workhorses, their job now is to get to the front, lift the pace to 50 kilometers an hour, shut it down, and then hope the sprinters will finish it off. The maillot jaune of Stefan Schumacher, very routine day for him. He only has to finish in the group to get another yellow jersey for tomorrow. Not so for Kim Kirken in the green jersey, because there's points for the first 35 riders to finish, 25 riders rather to finish, with 35 points going to the winner of the stage. If Hushoff wins today, he will take green tonight.
Well, our little onboard computer now trying to estimate that the 3 riders at the front will get caught at 7 kilometers to go. And you can see the difference in their pedaling style. A few moments ago, they were resigned. They looked like riders who were resigned to getting caught. But as they got inside of 20 kilometers to go, 12 miles to the finish, they all of a sudden thought, let's have another go at this. Let's lift up the tempo and see whether or not the main field has got the power to pull us back.
The face of Nicolas Vaugandy, the champion of France. It's his 5th Tour de France. He's passing Florent Braud, the only rider of the 3 who hasn't won a race this year, but he's in his 3rd Tour de France. The other rider, Lilian Jégou, he's had a win this year. He's 32 years of age, same age as Braud, by the way. He's also ridden 3 Tours de France, and there he is. He knows too that if they wipe him out, he has a good sprinter on his team.
Well, that's the important thing. They've got 2 good sprinters, I have to say, because not only do they have Philippe Gilbert, they've got Sébastien Chavanel. 1 minute and 10 seconds is the official time gap, but if you can just see that, if you can just see up the road there above the riders, you can see the helicopter, and that's what the main fielder uses to judge the chase of the 3 leaders at the moment. The helicopter will be hovering above them, and that gives them a chance to estimate the distance. And on this long straight road, Phil, they'll be able to see the cars behind this leading trio of riders, and that's what they'll be aiming for. That's what they'll be concentrating on.
Well, the sun has stayed with us from Cholet to Châteauroux today. It's been a beautiful day. It's got steadily warmer as the day has gone on in Celsius. It's 26 degrees now on the riders. There is the pack. 177 left in the Tour de France. We've only lost 3 riders since we left Brest 5 days ago, and 174 are in that big pack. The other 3 are just at the top of our picture there.
Well, the big advantage for the main field now is that they have got sight of their prey. They might not be able to see the individual riders, but they can see that yellow car, they can see the red car with the race referee in it, and know that that's what they've got to do. They can judge their effort now over the next 15.5 kilometers to time their catch to absolute perfection.
And welcome back to the commentary box here. A lovely sunny day. We're waiting for the arrival of the riders here at Châteauroux. Before we get back to the action, though, let's have a look at 1 or 2 of your emails, and thanks for sending them. The first one coming in from Peter Tuck. Does the Tour winner share his prize money with his team? This is one for Paul, because he does, doesn't he?
Well, a complicated situation. They take the whole of the prize money, lump it into one sum, divide it into 9 parts. The 8 teammates get an equal share, and the last part, the 9th part, actually goes to the mechanics and the soigneurs.
So the winner gets nothing?
Nothing at all. But the idea is that he's going to make a lot of money out of endorsements for winning the Tour de France, so he leaves everything behind.
Yes, he's guaranteed to become a millionaire if he wins the Tour de France, that's for sure. Let's go on then. The next one from Gary in Livingston, Scotland. Who is the youngest rider in the Tour this year, and who is the youngest rider to ever win the overall Tour title? Let's start with this year, Paul.
Well, thanks for the easy ones. Well, John Lee Augustin, the South African rider from Team Barlow World, riding his first Tour de France, is 21 3/4 years old. There's another 21-year-old in the Tour as well, Gerard Cholik from Team Columbia. Pretty young to ride the Tour.
Absolutely right. Well, 1904 is the answer to the youngest rider ever to win the Tour de France, but he didn't find out until the November, and the race was held in July on that occasion as well. They disqualified the first 4 riders to finish for cheating, so Henri Cornet at 20 is the youngest ever Tour winner. Looking at the modern generation, Laurent Fignon won the Tour de France back in 1983 when he was only 23. He also won the following year at 24. Other riders to have won at 24 years of age: Eddy Merckx, Bernard Hinault, Jan Ullrich, and last year, Alberto Contador. Our third and final question then, it comes from Mike Taylor in Sheffield in a bunch sprint. What speed can the riders achieve? Well, Mark Cavendish always tells us, and we believe him, he's the fastest man over the last 200 metres of a road race, so who better to give us the answer?
The last 15-20 kilometres we're riding it between 55 and 65 kilometres an hour, you know, which it's quite hard if you're negotiating a lot of turns and road furniture, you know, especially in Belgium and Holland. And then coming up to the sprint, last kilometre, yeah, for sure, we're over 60k an hour. And normally a sprinter sprint between 67 to 70 kilometres an hour for those final few hundred metres.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to lose concentration here this afternoon, because the sprinters don't have too many occasions in this year's Tour de France, and this is an ideal occasion for them. The sprint here in Châteauroux really, Phil, is very reminiscent of the great finish in the town of Tours, which isn't too far away from where we are here, and that has always been regarded as a little bit of a shrine for the sprinters. So I think today they will make sure that they will have their chances. The climbers are looking forward to showing us how good they are when the race gets to the Alpe d'Huez.
Well, everybody helping out, and you saw the face there of the pacemaker for Team Colombia. It is hurting these boys now. It's got to be over, and it's got to be over quickly. Under that one, 50 seconds, Paul. They've pulled back about 15 seconds.
Very rapidly indeed, and I tell you one thing, the concerted effort now is being done by a number of teams on the front. I'm not sure if you just noticed that Simon Gerrans, the Australian rider on Crédit Agricole, was doing a lot of pacemaking at the front end of the main field. He said the only reason he's come to the Tour this year is to help Thor Hushovd. So the organisation, there are 3 teams now pretty much dedicated to working at the front end of the main field. Team High Road, which is now Team Colombia in the pale blue jerseys. Team Crédit Agricole, and of course the big strong team, Team Quickstep, the team which was formerly the team of Tom Boonen, excluded from the Tour de France this year, but they do have a replacement sprinter in their midst, and that's Gert Steegmans, who won a stage of the Tour de France last year in Ghent in Belgium, and that was just ahead of his teammate Tom Boonen.
Well, it's very, very interesting to see that Liquigas, the Italian squad here, are prepared to put the back into this chase. They have an opportunist in their leader, Filippo Pizzato, but they also do have 2 very good sprinters in Kiki, who's in his first Tour de France, and Muriel Fischer, who is a very fast finisher from Brazil. He's the only Brazilian of note in professional cycling.
Well, the thing is, Phil, when you come down to a sprint at the end of the Tour de France, one sprinter or the other has to sacrifice his chances. It's no good having 2 guys trying to win the stage. You really need to have one sprinter leading out your other sprinter, and I think that is the big advantage that the Français de Jeu have got, because they've got, of course, Philippe Gilbert and Sébastien Chavanel, but also on Team High Road, Team Colombia as they're now called, they've got 3 sprinters. They've got Mark Cavendish, who can be led out by Bernard Eisel or Gerhard Scholek, and that is an important asset, I think.
Absolutely, certainly is. They've got a great all-round team. These boys have now been in the lead for more than 210 kilometres of the 232. They are 12 from the finish just now, but they're not going to make it. The work is being done here by everybody that can throw their weight behind it, and I think now we can see here right on the front it is Fofanov helping now Thor Hushovd's squad.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, this is Simon Gerrans there. He's not too happy here about Cofidis. That's Sylvain Chavanel moving to the front there, and he's trying to slow everybody down. And that is not going to earn him a lot of friends there, because that's a pretty much of an amateur-type move that he's adopting.
Well, they don't like you getting in the way when they're busy chasing, but even so, he's not going to help these boys catch up. Simon Gerrans just reminding him it's not protocol to delay the action. And Gerrans now has got back in and gritting his teeth here, but look at these boys in lime green. They are really throwing the weight. They're being led at the moment by number 66 there, but everybody is in it. That is Kudzinski, who was the last man overall. I haven't checked lately to see if he still is.
Well, he's still in the Tour de France, and at the moment he's right at the front end. Look how close together everybody's getting. You can sense that little bit of nervousness now. Nobody wants to touch the brakes at a moment like this, because you touch your brakes here, Phil, and you'll slip down through that main field and lose yourself 15 to 20 places. But it looks as if somebody's had a slight problem at the back end of the main field here, and he's going to have to get himself and fight his way back through the main field. And this is George Hincapie, and I wonder what happened to Big George.
Well, I don't know, but nobody at this stage of the race has come back to help him. He may have had a mechanical problem, but because of the importance now for the team to be built around Mark Cavendish, he's having to fend for himself with a little bit of help from Lamprey. That's very nice of Lamprey.
Well, nothing was announced on race radio, but the fact that George Hincapie is behind Phil, I'm sure he had some kind of a mechanical problem, but he's using all of the knowledge that he's garnered over the years of being a professional bike rider to get himself back through the convoy. I think he may well have had a rear wheel puncture there, because he was just trying to adjust the brakes at the back of his machine. I'm certain that Hincapie will get himself back into the pack, but that could be crucial for Mark Cavendish, because George Hincapie would be a very serious lead-out man.
10 kilometres to go. The three leaders here are still clear. The clock is running on 10 kilometres, but they're saying 34 seconds. There's a horrible sight for the leaders, because just look at the speed of the main field of the Tour de France now. Just in the following cars is George Hincapie. Remember Canterbury in the Tour de France last year in Great Britain, Paul. McEwen came back about now and went through the field and won the stage.
Well, you've got to be very lucky or very strong to be able to do that, because we're looking pretty close to maximum speed here in the main field at 10 kilometres to go, and still the three riders at the front are holding on to a 33-second lead.
We are now at 6 kilometres to go. We are 28 seconds still to the good. These boys now are living on pure hope, and they have led for virtually the whole race today, the longest stage of the Tour. But Team Columbia have got to the front. The rider in green is also Columbia. That's Kim Kirken, who's got himself into the picture. Lockvist is there in the white jersey. It's all Team Columbia right now as they try to line out for Mark Cavendish.
Yes, but waiting to take over on the right-hand side. A little bit of a problem here. Looks like there's a crash on the left-hand side of the road. There's a rider gone down very hard. He's come into contact with a spectator.
Well, that is a real shame. Collision with a spectator here. They look okay. Let's hope so. Well, the race medical people will be on hand. The rider who had the collision there is Passeron of Sonia Duval. He looks across at the spectator. He gets back on his bike, but outside, lose time here. He's outside the 3 kilometres to go. Back to the action here now. 24 seconds to go. 5 kilometres the banner. They are still there, and they are still racing to the finish. But Paul, Team Columbia and George Hincapie had to get up there, has now got themselves organised.
Yes, and if Team Columbia start to fade over on the left-hand side, you've got Francis Desjeux behind them, waiting to take over as well. You've got Team Quickstep for Gert Stegermans. This is keeping the pace nice and high. This is Marcus Burkhardt going through there at 5 kilometres to go, and they're still looking for around about 20 seconds. The main field are going to judge it to absolute perfection here this afternoon, but you know the sprinters are all very nervous now. They haven't had a serious crack at a victory here this afternoon. A little bit further down on the left-hand side, you see the yellow jersey, Stefan Schumacher. He's riding in the front because he wants to keep himself out of danger. Thor Hushovd will be in there somewhere as well, but look at the movement. Everybody's very nervous this afternoon.
Well, 8 of the 9 members of Team Columbia are up there, and here comes the rush now by Liquigas, because they're trying to bring Kiki up there as well at 4 kilometres to go. I take my hat off to these two. We can see how quick the peloton is going. These boys are hanging in there. 20 seconds still in hand.
20 seconds is really not very much at all. That corresponds to around about 300 metres advantage for these 3 men. It probably is not enough.
19 seconds lead, just inside 4 kilometres from the finish. Team Columbia have got hold of the Tour de France by the scruff of the racing shorts and have put all of the team on the front. It's all for Mark Cavendish right now, but there are plenty of others trying to break in here, particularly the team from Italy of Liquigas. There's been a crash on the bend. One rider on the floor. It's a Gerolsteiner rider who's got caught out. A teammate there of the race leader. I'm just trying to see who it is, Paul, but it looks to me it is Hausler, the Australian-German, who's caught the edge of those cobblestones. Maybe we can see it again here.
Well, that's where it happened. In fact, he touched the wheel of the rider in front. A rider from Lampre in front of him slowed down just a little bit too much. He rear-ended him and then went down, and he looks as if he's in a serious amount of difficulty. Gerard Porte, the famous doctor of the Tour de France, is up there alongside him.
Well, it's Thomas Lockvist there, the new young rider in the white jersey, who's doing a sterling performance at the front. He's dropped back a little bit now as the other light blue jersey of Team Columbia. They're trying to deliver Mark Cavendish to his first ever win of a stage of the Tour de France here. It would be a huge result for the team and for him and for the American squad as well, as Liquigas are losing firepower. They've only got 2 men left up amongst the front runners. Watch the left of the picture here, because these riders in orange are bringing Oster Freire, the big sprinter from Spain, forward. And on the right, Barlow are looking to bring Robbie Hunter at 2.5 kilometres to go. This is now not for the nervous.
These are the 3 leaders, and they're still leading inside of 2 kilometres to go. They are holding on, and I don't know how.
Well, they've blown our computer out of the water, because they are still up there now at 1.9 kilometres to go. They're trying to bring Sebastian Chavanel through in the white jersey team of Francisca. Big George Hincapie back and driving the front now, because they're trying to keep the race so fast Nobody can catch up with the leaders of the peloton, and this is what Mark Cavendish needs, a real shot at the finish, because he really is the fastest man over 200 metres.
Well, he is, but he's got to be in the right place. He's got to make sure that the doors are open in front of him, because you can be the fastest man in the world, but if you've got riders in front of you, there's nowhere to go through. Eric Zabel is not far away from the front end of the main field now. Nicolas Vaugondy has thought about this one. He is going for one last burst here, and he's looking to see whether he's going to spot the last kilometre. This could be an impressive turnout for these guys, because they may well just survive.
The final throws of a man who has been in the lead for 220 kilometres today, as somewhere the champion of France has found some power in those pistons we call legs, as he races now towards the finish. The other two, I think, will be swept up. They have really diced with it this time. 1 kilometre to go, and one man, the champion of France, is still away.
He's still away on the front of the main field. It was the man who wears the green jersey leading them out, and that is Kim Kirk, and the riders from the breakaway have swung over now. They don't want to create any accidents, as you can almost see and feel the pressure in the main field. They feel that they may well have lost this one, as they're looking to pull back 250 metres inside of the last kilometre. It's Quick-Step on the front end of the main field, but Vaugondy here could very well have created a massive surprise.
It is a long straight sprint here, but for Vaugondy it is a greyhound rush for the line.
Don't look over your shoulder, because there's still a chance here for the champion of France. A desperate effort after leading for almost all of the 232 kilometres. Mark Cavendish is bursting out of the pack. He's had to make a run very early here. He's challenged by the sprinters. Look at the speed of Mark Cavendish here. As we get the shot, he's wiped out the champion. Mark Cavendish, the youngest British rider ever to get a stage win in the Tour de France. Well, that was absolutely superb. I thought he really had misjudged that, along with all of the sprinters. But Mark Cavendish there, he really is the fastest rider over 200 metres once he sees the line. Just look at his speed here. He had to go a little bit earlier than I think he planned. He went over and alongside Thor Hushovd on the far right, and then he started to wind it up as they started to wind in the champion of France. You've got to feel sorry for him. That was a superb final effort. There he is, the catch, and then Cavendish just pulled away. Oscar Freire in orange chases him home, and alongside there is Eric Zabel. Well, and look at this now. A punch to the sky by Mark Cavendish, the 9th man only ever to win a stage, and congratulations there by both Zabel and Freire. That's a sporting rider for you.
A fabulous stage win for Mark Cavendish, and immediately after it, the barely stage-managed melee that always follows on the finish line, with minders trying to guide the winner through the media mob, and Cavendish coming across various teammates in the undergrowth and launching into celebrations. And just in case anyone thought that a 23-year-old might be fazed by the occasion, have a look at this. First hugging his team leader, Kim Kirken, and letting him know he intends to take the green jersey off him. Tremendous self-belief to go with his tremendous ability. And at 23, the youngest British rider ever to win a stage on the Tour. There's the result. Cavendish, Freire, Zabel was the 1-2-3, as you heard on commentary. Thor Hushovd, Baden Cook, Robbie Hunter, Leonardo Duque and Robbie McEwen were up there too. Cadel Evans, Alejandro Valverde, David Miller and all the other big names finished safely in the main bunch on the same time as the winner. Talking of which, let's hear from the winner with Ned.
You've only been going a year and a half in this game. You've had some amazing achievements already, but a stage win on the Tour de France, put it into context.
Yeah, for sure it's the biggest thing that's happened to me, you know. Without a doubt, to win a stage of the Tour for anyone's career, it's a massive thing. To win it so young, you know, it means so much. You know, I came here with the intention of winning one. If I didn't go home with one, then it was going to be, you know, disappointing, even though I'm 23. But, you know, it's just, yeah, it just means so much to me.
Pressure off now, you can relax, enjoy the podium.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think it's safe to say that he did. It was a great individual effort in the final few hundred metres today from Mark Cavendish, but a great team effort to get him there. Let's hear from his Columbia train.
What can you say? It's like, what can I say? He's a cannonball, and I think he showed it today. He was just the quickest in the last 150 metres.
He is really the fastest man in the world. He's just got a kick like no one else, and it's great to have him on the team, and we all have trust in him, and he gives us good faith, and, you know, we do the work and he gets results.
He did a great job. He did what we expected from him. Well, if he doesn't get boxed in and he get a clean sprint, I mean, there's no one that could beat him. So we're very happy for him, and yeah, we're very happy.
He's one of the best sprinter in the world right now. Nobody can. If he's got a straight run at it, there's nobody faster.
and that goes even when he's in super slow-mo. Let's hear from the man again. Ned went back for take 2 after Mark Cavendish got down off the podium.
Well, Mark Cavendish, has it sunk in yet what you've just achieved?
It has a bit, but it's still, you know, I sank in, I knew I could do it, but, you know, I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight anyway.
You grew up watching the Tour de France, didn't you? Yeah, it was the race you watched as a kid, and now you stood on the podium as a stage winner.
Yeah, you know, it was always a dream too, and it's a good thing I knew I had to get one this year. Obviously, I was disappointed the other day. I think your viewers saw how disappointed I was the other day after the finish. So, you know, the team worked 100% today again, and we couldn't come away with anything else.
What was said at the hotel this morning? What was said before this stage? Because the way you rode as a team on this stage, it really looked like you targeted this one.
I woke up this morning and I said to the lads, I'm going to win today. I just feel it, you know, and it sounds arrogant, but I prefer to say it on the line of confidence, you know. We got such a strong team here, and we showed that. We've shown that the other days, and we had to come away with the stage sooner or later. And after the other day, I wasn't going to let them down.
You're a confident lad, but the knockbacks, the setbacks, when it doesn't go according to plan, it doesn't change your belief, does it?
Oh, not one bit. You know, it's at the end of the day. The Tour de France isn't the only bike race in the world. The Olympics isn't the only bike race in the world. I think a lot of I know British fans think that's the case, you know, and they don't appreciate how much I've done in other races, you know. So at least I can show you that I am the fastest guy in the world. And
well done, Cav.
Thank you.
Now, in all the euphoria, we shouldn't forget the 2 crash victims who went down late in the stage. I'm happy to say that both of them finished. Aurélien Passeron, who collided with a spectator, came in 4 minutes 55 down on the main field. The spectator was okay too, we believe. And Heinrich Hausler, who went down at a tight roundabout turn on the run-in, lost 6 minutes 30. No change at the top. Stefan Schumacher keeps the yellow jersey and was no doubt happy to see someone else getting all the attention today. Let's check on the overall standings, though. Just the same as this morning, as far as the leading places go. Schumacher has 12 seconds on Kim Kirchen and David Miller, with Cadel Evans lying 4th, another 9 seconds back. Pretty much the same 2 all the way down the standings, apart from the fallers, of course. The stage winner moves up 1 place from 98th to 97th, for what it's worth.
So a great day for Mark Cavendish, who finally made it onto the Tour de France podium as a stage winner. He made his wait for it, or perhaps his team made him wait for it. Either way, he's confirmed his status now as the fastest sprinter in the world at the world's greatest race. And if you felt a surge of adrenaline as he crossed the line and decided it was time you got back out on the bike yourself again, or even for the first time, then here's your... Just time to look ahead now before we go, and I have to tell you that Mark Cavendish is not going to win tomorrow, because it's uphill. There is an outside chance, though, of David Miller slipping into the race leader's yellow jersey if he can stay with the leaders all the way up the final climb. Let's look at stage 6.
And just 6 days and 832 kilometres into the Tour, we've got a mountain top finish. It's 195.5 kilometres tomorrow from Aigeronde to Superbès. 2 fourth category climbs along the way, followed by 2 second categories, including the final one up to the finish at just under 1,300 metres. It should be a great day's racing, and we'll have highlights for you tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock on ITV4. Don't forget the red button. If you're a Sky Satellite or Virgin Cable subscriber, you can see the whole stage uninterrupted. And of course, in between, there's always itv.com/tour for your emails and downloading the podcast.
Well, Mark Cavendish will take his punishment happily now on the climb up to Superbès, hanging on at the back with all the rest of the fast-twitch muscle fibre merchants. He's adamant that he wants to finish this race, you know, and if he does, don't bet against him winning more stages once the Tour returns to the flat. But whether he leaves for the British Olympic training camp or makes it all the way to Paris is secondary now. He's already made history.
Mark Cavendish is bursting out of the pack. He's had to make a run very early here. He's challenged by the sprinters. Look at the speed of Mark Cavendish here. As we get the shot, he's wiped out the champion. Mark Cavendish, the youngest British rider ever to get a stage win in the Tour de France.